Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 31 Days of Halloween on the Calvin Cam Podcast, the podcast where we talk about everything spooky and chilling. I'm Calvin.
And I'm Anthony. And today we have another movie review. It is Lake Placid. So let's get into it.
All right, we've made it to day 3. We are now doing Lake Placid, which was recommended to us by a fan. So we absolutely had to do it and put it on our list. It is one of my favorite movies growing up. I rented this movie a lot, and it's part of that like sci-fi genre, that sci-fi channel horror genre where we got like Anaconda, we got Boa, Python. It's a creature feature.
Yeah.
So,
and not to mention it's a horror comedy.
Yes.
This movie is great.
It's super hilarious. So this movie was just one of those movies that growing up that really like made me super happy because not only do I love animals so much, I love reptiles specifically a lot. So seeing a movie about a giant alligator or a crocodile was amazing.
Yeah, I just recently watched this movie, and this movie it threw me off. I'm like, is this a horror movie or is this a comedy? And then I'm like, oh, okay. It's a horror movie.
It's got its elements.
Yeah.
But it's very, very comedic. It's very funny. But it's like along the lines of like 8-Legged Freaks. You remember that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it's got the spooky tone, but it's a comedy. Like
it's there to
hilarious.
It's to switch between. It's kind of like it wants to make you laugh and make you scream at the same time.
Lake Placid came out in 1999, along with like movies like Deep Blue Sea and stuff. It was a time period, for these kinds of movies to exist. It stars Paul. What's his name? Sorry.
Bill Pullman.
Bill Pullman. Jesus. I'm sorry. And Bridget Fonda.
And Oliver Platt.
And Oliver Platt, who is hilarious.
Yeah, these three are just hilarious throughout the whole movie. We also have Brendan Gleeson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's also part of the core cast that is just funny. Mm-hmm. And then you also have Betty White.
Oh, yes. R.I.P. Betty White.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was directed by Steve Miner, right?
Yeah, Steve Miner.
Yeah, Steve Miner did. He worked on the Friday the 13th movie. Specifically, he directed Part 2. I think that he did a good job.
Yeah, I think he did an excellent job. The pacing in this movie is good. I think the movie has an excellent score. Like the music in the opening credits, when the opening credits move and you're going through the lake, you're showing the inside of the lake. The outside flying over the actual, they didn't have drones probably back then, so there was probably helicopter shots. But the intro of the movie has a really good score, and I thought it was cool. I mean, I noticed that right away, and the score actually correlates with all the scenes too. So you have that thriller horror element with the music.
I feel like it kind of like adopted or adapted from Jaws in that aspect.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can see the similarities there.
And then since you've mentioned the opening credits part, that also reminds me of movies similar to it, like Anaconda does the same exact thing where it's like in the river, and it goes all the way till it like eats a guy. So,
yeah, we have those correlations with horror movies that actually have animals involved or a creature. Like the same is said with Jaws. Leviathan is another horror movie that's not one of those where it delves into the water and it just opens up that way with a good cinematic score.
Yeah, this is a really great movie. It's a great pick. A lot of the things that I absolutely love about this movie were I felt like it was a lot of practical stuff was done with this movie. A lot of suspense building for the crocodile. I keep saying alligator. I felt like the suspense of it was good. I feel like they kind of kept the croc in the dark a lot of the movie until the very end, obviously. Yeah. But when it does fully appear on screen, you are like, holy shit, this is a huge ass alligator or crocodile.
Yeah. And chomps that diver into that one scene in the very beginning. You get the scene where the diver's, he's basically with the sheriff, which is played by Brendan Gleeson. You have a diver, he's doing like a beaver survey, and then he goes into the water and he starts checking the beavers, and the music is, like I said, the score is good in this movie. It brings the suspense. So he's in there. He gets eaten by the crocodile. He pulls him up, and his torso is gone. I mean, that's all is there is his torso. So
very much Jaws.
Yeah, very much Jaws. Like, you get to the theme of the movie. Okay, wow. Okay, this is this kind of movie, and then it shifts towards more of a comedic feel, like afterwards.
Yeah, because it's like the scientists come to, like, Bridget Fonda. She comes to like survey the area, right?
Yeah, she comes to Maine. Because there's a tooth that came off of the diver. They extracted. The forensic person said, "Oh, it's an ancient tooth." So she goes, "Oh, she's a paleontologist or whatever." The people who study dinosaurs and fossils and stuff. She goes to Maine, and she's greeted by the sheriff, which is, like I said, Brendan Gleeson, and Bill Pullman is like he's like the Fish and Game guy. So there's a good chemistry and comedic jokes are being told while they're packing up the car, and you get a good feel like, okay, this movie's gonna be it's gonna have some comedy in it. So it kind of opens up with that when you see those three are introduced.
Those are two genres that I really love that blend together pretty well, is horror and comedy, just because, like, a lot of the time our psyche tries to, cope with things with comedy. So
yeah.
If I remember correctly, the plot of this movie was just them coming to investigate the research and then finding out that Betty White is behind this.
Betty White is kind of behind this. She's so basically the Lake Placid it's kind of like a remote island in Maine. I guess she's the only inhabitant, like has a residential a residence there. She has like a ranch, and
she like raises the crocodile.
She raises a crocodile, and I guess that's how her husband was murdered. Like, there's a scene where they're asking Betty White questions like, "I murdered my husband," and she's just being so comical joking, about it. I mean,
well, not joking,
but
joking.
Yeah, exactly. And there's that whole scene. So we get this feeling that we're like, okay, this woman has something to do with this, but we don't know exactly what yet. But I just thought that the comic element was just awesome in that scene as well.
So funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if I remember correctly, the end is very like pretty action packed with like the helicopter and the croc finally is like fully visible, and it like bites the helicopter out of the sky. Yeah. I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like it's a little more realistic when you're actually watching the movie, just depicting on like how big this crocodile is, because it's huge. What is it, like 30 something feet?
Yeah.
Like 40 feet? Like,
yeah, he just jumps and grabs it. And then we realize when we're coming to the end of the movie, there's not just one, there's two.
There's two. Yeah. Which is great. Plot twist.
Yeah.
No, yeah, there's two. And then one of them gets like stuck in the helicopter.
Yeah.
As well. Like,
yep.
Yeah. Oh man. Good times, good movies. I used to rent this movie, like I said before, like a lot from the video store, because I was just obsessed with creatures like this. So we got some fun facts for you, right?
Yeah, we do have some fun facts.
So let me pull up some fun facts here real quick that we've jotted down. So the crocodile as a CGI or animatronic has been about 3 minutes and 43 seconds of screen time. So they're really, like I said, like it doesn't show the alligator as much as it shows like the camera work acting as the alligator.
Yeah, there's the scene where that guy gets decapitated, like in the boat when he's pulling up the sonar equipment, and he goes whoosh, and gets him. And I think that's the only other part you see. You know what I mean? So that could play a role with the animatronics and stuff at that point in that scene, I think.
Yeah. The largest crocodile in captivity was Lolong, who was about 6.17 meters long, is 20 feet, 20 something feet. When he died from pneumonia in February of 2013 in the Philippines. So huge crocodile. The crocodile depicted in this movie, just to give you perspective, is 10 feet longer.
Yeah.
So he's 30 plus feet.
Yeah.
Huge crocodile. Another one is in one scene, a cow appears to be dangling from a helicopter. A live cow was actually lifted in a colic sling by a crane. In the final edit of the film, the cow appears to be dangling from the helicopter.
Yeah, I remember that scene when they were trying to feed the croc, the cow, tried to get it to reveal itself.
Yeah.
that was funny.
Sheriff Kua's big gun was a fake gun made specifically from a prop specifically as a prop for this movie. They even gave it a fake name, calling it Lightweight Forward Area Air Device Unit.
That is cool.
Which itself is a pretty good parody of military jargon. It was not an M203 grenade launcher, which fires 40 millimeter grenades. The grenades shown with the gun were a good deal smaller than 40 millimeters. So
one of those would be packing a big punch.
yes. Let's see. Stan Winston and his crew realized Lake Placid's crocodile as a full-size animatronic puppet, complete with moving head and tail and snapping jaws. That would function in underwater.
That's cool.
So that Stan Winston's awesome.
Stan Winston, yeah.
Like
Stan Winston, like I said, he inspired a lot of special effects people, including, like I said, our last episode, The Thing, with Rob Bottin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While this film was supposed to be in Maine, there are no scenes that are actually filmed in Maine.
Where is it filmed?
It does not say.
Huh.
I could find out though and post that later. Yeah, Lake Placid. It's a solid movie. I really enjoyed it, like I said before. And if I were to rate the movie, I'd probably give it a 3.5 out of 5. Like, it's enjoyable enough. It's not the greatest movie, but it's definitely a movie that I do love and would continue to watch.
Yeah.
You know, as time goes on. What would you rate it?
I would rate it, I would have to say, I'd give it a 3 out of 5 too. The horror elements, I mean, they're there with, you know, the decapitation and, you know, the suspenseful things when they're in the water, but no one really dies. What really gives the 3 stars is probably the comedic value and the chemistry between, Bill Pullman and Bridget Fonda and Oliver Platt and the sheriff, Brendan Gleeson. Like, they have really good chemistry, and that's what kind of makes this movie shine for me, is that element of it. But it's still pretty good. Like I said, the animatronics of the crocodile are cool, but yeah, that's what I'd give it a 3 out of 5.
I just think that, like, I think the acting's great, and I think that the story's really basic.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it needs to be anything too special. So I think it works for what it is, and I think obviously they used what they had. So it's definitely a fun film, and it is horror. So yeah. That's going to be it for today's episode with Lake Placid. Thank you very much for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you all so much for watching the Calvin Cam podcast. You can follow us on social media platforms like Instagram and Twitter. Go check us out on all audio streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music. We also have the Calvin Cam YouTube channel. Go over there, subscribe and like our videos, and help us get bigger and better. You can also go help support us by going over to patreon.com and joining one of our patron tiers. We provide a lot of cool benefits, so would love to see you over there. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.